Gary Chapin.
As some of you probably know, a good deal of today's music comes from the fact that old black blind blues street preachers and guitar pickers from way down south wandered around and did street music. And we put together a little piece of rock, folk, street theater here, with each member of a group playing their own peculiar role, about an old black blind blues street preacher and a young white boy who's trying to learn some of his licks. Well, the kid heard the word up in Brooklyn. It was the second year of medical school. He went and stashed some jeans into his guitar case. His father said,
Mabel, that boy's a fool.
He jumped on board that Greyhound bus. It took him 2 days to get to Mobile. And though it took 2 more weeks to track the old man down, he never doubted that the rumor was real. And then the old man stood by the storefront. He had a white cane hanging from his belt, and he was bending the steel of his guitar string, so it seemed like the metal had to melt. He was the last of the street corner singers in his final years of dues. The voice in his throat was like a bullfrog croak. Yes, it's he who invented the blues. Tell him, Big John.
Play the blues, boy. You got to live 'em, got your dues, boy. You know you got to give 'em, got this tall sweet, like a slow blues rhythm, like a heartbeat now. You'll always be with 'em when you're married to the blues, boy. Your guitar is your wife. It's like that fine old woman who you're faithful to for life.
All right, old man. The kid walks up as a blind man, being his dad was meant to put his guitar away. You know, the old man heard him and said,
Who are you?
Well, I'm the kid you're gonna teach to play. Everybody laughed, but the kid kept talking about how he'd help him get all around. That's when the old man said,
Well, I don't need no fool to get me where in the hell I'm bound.
Now that made the young man pause for just one moment, but then he nods his head with a great big grin and says, well, when do we begin? That's when the old man says,
If you're staying with me, this is how it's got to be.
tell 'em to play the blues, boy. You got to live and got your dues, boy. You know you got to give and got to start. Sweet like a slow blues rhythm, like a heartbeat. You'll always be with it when you're married to the blues, boy. Your guitar is your wife. It's like that fine old woman who you're faithful to for life.
Look here, child. You know I ain't no guru. I'm just a blind black preacher man. My guitar is my gospel, child. I preach with my picking hand. I ain't gonna be no witness, a black father to an albino son.
Oh, that's okay to get up and say, you know, I just want to pick like a son of a gun.
Oh, you do. That ain't no typewriter, son. You gotta caress it like a woman, slow and easy.
Like this old man.
No. A fool plays the blues like Machine Gun Kelly. 500 notes to the bar. But if you wanna stay with me, you got to learn what the blues really are. Come on, kid, let's get going. It's time to blow this town. We got a gig to preach in a gaming house where I love
So the kid took the hand of the old blues man to lead him all around the South. Now it's the old man's turn to make the white boy learn.
You don't play guitar with your mouth. To play the blues, boy, you got to live 'em, got your dues, boy.
You know you got to give 'em, got to start. Sweet like a soul blues rhythm, like a heartbeat now. You'll always be with them when you're married to the blues boy. Your guitar is your wife. It's like that fine old woman that you're faithful to for life.
Some guitar now, boy.
Well, watch that old man, I'm gonna knock your socks off.
much. We'll be right back to talk to Harry after this commercial. Thank you, Doc. Harry, we have worked together.
Yeah, so Matt, you were talking about how your career has exploded. The last 2 times we played together, you were opening for me, catch this, at the Cellar Door in Washington, and at St. John's University in Queens.
Right, we did.
Onwards and upwards.
Now, starting this weekend, or just this weekend at the Greek Theater, you have a very different opening act. Your dad's going to open for you, right?
Yeah, well, you know, it's the old Chapin theme, nepotism. You know, my brother Tom had a TV show for 5 years on ABC. It was won the Emmys, the best kid show on TV. That's why they canceled it the next year. It was Make-A-Wish. And then my father, actually, when we were kids, when we had put together...
What does he do?
He plays drums, jazz drums. I mean, Ed Shaughnessy's an old buddy of his, Doc. Every time I come and do the show, this is the 15th time I've been on the show. Every time it's Old Home Week, finding out what all the various old jazz names have been doing in New York since you guys are out here now. But it's sort of a full circle. Dad used to get Tom, Steve, and I up at half times at some of his gigs, and we wanted to put a horn section behind something. We wanted to make these 2 nights at the Greek Theater really special. And we started saying, hey, maybe if Dad was available, he's got a group called the Jazz Tree, we could fly him out and have him open, and then at the end of the concert, play with us.
Did you have to negotiate? How much you want, Dad?
Actually, his manager is his wife, his second wife, and so we had to deal with her. But she's tough but fair. So
I wanted to get my father to do the warm-ups on Carter, but who wants to listen to an old Jewish man come out and talk about fabrics? So I got to say, just a second. I spoke to my father today, and just to indicate how little my father knows about show business, I said, well, Dad, we just did our first Carter show. And he said, listen, this is your 3rd year. This year, they're going to give you a better class to teach. Now, did you study music in school?
Well, I played classical trumpet till I was about 15, and I found out girls like guitar players better, and quickly shifted over. And actually, I have sort of a mixed academic history because I busted out of Cornell University twice. Once in architecture and once in...
You busted out?
Yeah, in philosophy. Yeah, it means that not only could I not build a library, I wouldn't know what to inscribe around it, you know. But I also went to the Air Force Academy. I was going to learn to fly. The first song I sang on the Tonight Show about
Taxi
4.5 years ago was Taxi, and you know, he was going to... As a matter of fact, that's the first time on the show you ever had a song 7 minutes long, but then most of my stuff's that long. But it's, I did go to the Air Force Academy, and boy, it was really different. It was 1960, and in 64 they changed radically. But back then they had all kinds of things, like you had to eat a square meal, which meant you could only put enough on that you could swallow in 3 chews. You ate it like this, and if you messed up, if something fell off, you were through for the day. There was one 7-meal period. I ate 1 chili bean. And they were trying to top, the Air Force Academy was trying to top West Point. They had a thing where if you were bad, you'd lean on a pencil against a wall. Now, have you ever had a pointed pencil against your forehead? They were doing some really weird things.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why did you put the point near?
Because,
Why you put the eraser on this?
I wish I had the choice. Then we also had gross wad details, which they wake up at midnight, and you'd have to get full combat gear and run out to Cathedral Rock, which was 2.5 miles away, and then back. But the irony is, I asked him to leave the academy. I wasn't too happy there. And the chaplain sat me down. And I told this story at the Air Force Academy last year when I sang there, because they asked me back for a concert. And at halftime, I did sort of a press conference answering questions. And the chaplain had said, when I wanted to leave the academy, he said, son, if you quit this, you're always going to be a loser. You're never going to be a success at anything. And I got a standing ovation. Everybody in the Air Force, they asked me back, going back September 25th, getting $12,500 out of them.
Okay, we'll be returning with our guests and more of The Tonight Show after this word from our sponsor.
Realize, but they probably miss, because of commercials, the greatest music being played in the jazz idiom today, because it is a tough business right now to find ongoing work, and this orchestra is probably the best in the country right now.
That's terrific.
Unbelievable.
I know you're going to do one more song, and we're a little rushed. And I want to ask you one question, which I think is an exceptional question.
Thought it up yourself.
Yes. Now, I know you work a lot overseas. And when you work in foreign countries, how do they react to your songs, which are basically lyrical?
Well, it's strange. In Northern Europe, there's not so much of a problem. Although, you know, we worked in Dublin, and we went to Belfast, where you don't want to bomb because they got a whole different meaning of the word there. But there, for example, they charge you $5 to get in, but you cannot get out before the end of the concert because they're worried that you might leave something. And so that suggests a whole new form of entertainment where you charge $5 to get in, $5 to get out. So it worked nicely. But we were in Amsterdam, which is also wild, and we played in a club called Paradiso, 90% drunk Germans, plus they sold hash over the counter. Now, I got to tell you, if you're trying to communicate in any language, and if everybody's sort of going,
well, I would think they would get into anything at that point, you know.
Well,
wow, what a heavy sound, man. That's really good. There you go.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to introduce the next song from here if I could. You know, one of the extraordinary
Harry,
things...
would you introduce the next song from here, right over?
Take one. Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the extraordinary things about the sexual revolution is, for the first time, everybody has a history. Remember, we always used to be saving it for marriage now? And I just sort of like to ask, because there's a big basic question that comes out of having a sexual history. Do you believe that you should tell everything about your past to your new partner, or keep it secret? How many believe you should tell everything about your past to your new mate? 2 people, I think. How many people believe that you should be absolutely mum? This is a song about a young man who was mum. Or no, he was talking to his lover, who didn't tell him a thing about his past.